All right, what's going on? It's Bobby Skinner. I'm doing another quarterback breakdown. I was actually getting ready. I was putting together the film for the Cam Ward breakdown, was ready to record it, and the Giants signed Russell Wilson. So I'm doing a Russell Wilson film breakdown. I'm doing it on this channel. This channel, I really think it's going to be the future of all of your needs. So I appreciate you guys. So please like and subscribe as we break down all the Russell Wilson film. So we'll see what the future's like with Russell Wilson. And I think the future, just in general, is bright. So let's get into it with Russ. You're seeing the deep passes, right? That is what Russell Wilson is good. Throwing the deep balls. We'll talk about getting to the checkdowns, the middle of the field, quick game stuff that he struggles with, maybe taking some sacks, and then how he's able to make plays, by extending with his legs, and we'll get into all of it. Again, please like and subscribe. It'd be very much appreciated as we get this nation off the ground. Giants Nation. Let's ride. All right. Please bear with me as for the next year at least, I say let's ride a kabillion jillion times. All right, first play against the New York Giants. Play action. Going to run a corner, and then with Pickens and then the curl here. Just, again, I don't need to break down all of this too much, right? This is man coverage, play action, snap your head, safety stays in the middle of the field. Russ is going to pull the trigger on it. It's not a hard read, but what it is just a beautiful pass, right? This isn't the moon ball that gets, oversaid with Russ. It's not all moon balls. Sometimes it's, let's put some juice behind this thing. I mean, that's a beautiful throw, perfect accuracy, and allows Pickens just to make an easy catch. Here, you're going to have Calvin Austin run a slot fade versus Drew Phillips. Safety shading the opposite way towards George Pickens. Giants are in a cover one blitz. Right? So they're blitzing 6. Russ understands that. He knows where his matchup is. Set. Again, easy read. The safety's cheating this side. And just a beautiful ball to Calvin Austin, put over his outside shoulder. Again, ID that blitz. Know where your matchup's in. Calvin Austin sauces Phillips up with some leverage. With that transition. Touchdown, Russell Wilson. Here, now you will see the moon ball, right? Over here, you're going to get a back shoulder versus Nick McLeod. Right? Is this a perfectly accurate pass? But, man, it's going to get some air, and it's going to allow the receiver to adjust to it. Again, this is not, a lot of times on these quarterback breakdowns, I'm breaking down the coverage and the read and stuff. This is just, or the concept, this is just a wide receiver releasing outside vertically versus cover 3, which looks like man coverage on the outside, and Russ taking the shot. And again, Russ is, even with the Broncos and Steelers, where it's not the best version of Russ, he's always thrown the deep ball well and often. Again, give your guy a chance, right? He's able to adjust back to it, take advantage of bad DB play, and Joe Shane tells you to not pay your rent. Next play here versus the Ravens. Again, you're going to get cover 3, tight formation. On the outside, similar. Up top, versus Nate Wiggins. Right. In reality, Russ should be throwing this ball right here, which we're going to talk about that middle of the field thing. Like, this is the clear read. These linebackers don't have the depth. This safety, Hamilton hasn't triggered down. This corner didn't match. This should be the read, but he takes the shot. And allows his receiver, which again, Calvin Austin, kind of a smaller receiver, to make a play. Wiggins isn't able to get his head around. Big chunk play for Russell Wilson. Here, versus the Commanders, this is the game winner. Down at the bottom, money on Mike Williams. Commanders come in this too high safety look. Right? But again, and this is part of the way that I would like to play Russ, is if you want to get aggressive on a third down, is have you safety rotate down and take the check down away with man coverage. But when you do that, well, he may get a vertical to Mike Williams where the other safety is not over there, shaded to the better receiver in George Pickens. You've got the blitz, the stun up front. He's able to step away from it. Right? He understands he's got blitz, right? Again, slide away from this. Falling away. And just nothing but net outside shoulder. I'm like, watch this just without me replaying and stuff. Money. And I mean, that was a game winner against the Commanders as well. Next play again versus the Commanders. Again, cover one. They've got the safety coming over the top. Beautiful ball to Pickens. All right, outside release. Put it where only your guy can get it. Right over the outside shoulder. Beautiful ball. Again, I don't need to break down these deep passes that much. You know, it's simplistic, but it's what he's good at. You know, and here again, you know, slot fade to George Pickens. Now, this is a hell of a Pickens play, but you get it versus man coverage. And Pickens just makes like the crazy, like, again, kind of wish that happened on prime time. But Russ is reading this safety. This safety takes the end with the tight end. And just allows your guy to make a play, and he makes a hell of a play. But touchdown Russell Wilson, touchdown George Pickens, touchdown Steelers. You know, here versus the Chiefs, same thing. Play action, cover 3, George Pickens. Beautiful ball. Like, what do again, we're going to break down some film and concepts and all that stuff here in a minute. But safety in the middle of the field. Let's put a beautiful ball on George Pickens. Again, he doesn't need his receiver to... Great accuracy. Good job by Pickens with a little bit of a push off there. But again, you don't need to be the greatest processor in the world to throw the ball deep down the sideline and throw it well and give your wide receivers a chance. And then other plays here, right? You're going to get the wheel to Cordell Patterson out of the backfield. Right, versus man coverage. No, I don't think the Giants have a Cordell Patterson in their backfield to make this play. Even though Patterson, getting a little older, wasn't able to really get up with that ball. But got the rail route versus man coverage. Make a play, touchdown. And then when the deep pass is not there, he likes to get to the check down, right? So defenses, and some defenses do a good job of this, taking it away. But again, play action. This is a deep concept, right? So linebackers are playing with depth. Check it down to the back. Najee, for some reason, runs into Bobby Okereke instead of away from him. Again, I feel like that angle's there. I don't want to be a screenshot warrior. Same thing, no play action this time. They're running 4 verts. Defense sags with it. Check it down to Najee, right? This is a 2nd and 16. Take a nice profit. Easy stuff for him. Here versus Washington, a bit of a messy concept up top. I don't know exactly what's going on here. Again, this is a mess. But the Commanders are going to play like that and blitz the guy who's supposed to be covering the running back. Like, Russ is going to get to that. Again, this linebacker is assuming that Jaylen Warren's staying in to block. He doesn't. Russ sees it. Jaylen Warren gets himself, a nice check down, right? Again, similar here. It's not there, right? These linebackers are playing with depth. Check it down. So again, the deep ball is where the money's at, but again, where I feel like Russ has the most success isn't just when he's completing the deep ball. It is, but it's when the defenses are really sagging and taking away that deep balls where he has success because the checkdowns are there. The other thing that Russ does really well, or well still, is being able to scramble to throw, right? He's not wheeling and dealing the way he was in Seattle. And I think Pittsburgh did a good job keeping somewhat of a lid on it, where in Denver it was out of control and drove Sean Payton and all of them nuts the way he was running around and not taking the throws that were there. But I think in Pittsburgh he did a good job of doing it when needed, or at least in the handful of games of film I went through. So like this first play here against the Giants, Dex blows up this center. Can you name that guy? That's Armon Watts. It's, the throws aren't there. He knows Pickett's coming across the field. Scramble. Find Pickens for a touchdown. Now, This gets called for a holding penalty on the center because, well, I don't know. I don't know why, but that's a touchdown. Dex really is just a monster. Next play here, they run those, all curls. It's not there. He's got pressure. Rush, scramble away from the pressure. Find the tight end. Easy third and 7, first down. Right? Sees where the pressure's coming, knowing those hitches aren't going to open up. Find his tight end, first down. Here versus the Ravens. Same thing. All curls. Another third down. This time pocket starting to collapse. Right guard, leaky. Scramble, scramble, scramble. Make a play. First down. Again, just extending. Now, we're going to talk about the sacks that happen, but because they do happen on account of this, but able to get, move the chains. Like on third down, do what you got to do. Like a sack isn't that bad. But the sacks do happen. Here versus Kansas City. This is a third down. And this is just kind of a bad read on the defense. And you take a sack. So you have this concept down here, which we'll get to. But we're looking up top. Now, if we're looking up top to move these safeties, that's one thing. Right? But why are our eyes still on this? Like, that's not there. That's not an option. And so then we work to run around and then look at all this back here. Right? Where in reality, it should be snap, see it. We should be getting to the backs, checking the backside of this. And I understand he has pressure here, but check the backside of this, right? You could get to Mike Williams on the drive. In an ideal world, you see Freiermuth, but again, you bring in this motion, you got some type of zone coverage. Why I feel like we shouldn't be looking up this at Pickens, right? You got the safety at the top. They're going to help. That's where I get a little frustrated is, well, we should be looking at the concept first. And when we look at the concept and see this player chases, this player widens out, that Freiermuth is going to open up, right? So instead of looking at this, we should be looking at this, and I feel like it should be a touchdown or whatever. But instead, we're taking a sack, and we're getting 3 instead of 7. Here versus Kansas City, play action, right? Get to the check down, man. You got to kind of have some kind of internal clock. This is not opening up. You see the way this linebacker bails. It's just not there. Get rid of this ball. I understand these two guys leak out into the same way. But get rid of this. Don't take that sack. Here versus man coverage. All right, so you got man coverage. This linebacker works this way. As soon as this linebacker works this way, unless we're throwing this vertical, we should be getting to the backside of this. Right? But he doesn't. He does get to it late. Here we go. You got the in. Hit it. Hit it. Hit it. You've got leverage. You've got separation. Pull the trigger on it. Not even say it's going to be complete, but you just take a sack and then end up fumbling and get the ball back. But just, all right, it's not there. Get snap. Okay, good job. Pull the trigger. And instead, we're just taking sacks and dropping the football. Here versus the Giants. Right, we want to work deep. It's not there. We go to our checkdowns, right? So the checkdowns aren't there. Let's get rid of the ball. It's 2nd and 8. Let's not create a sack, right? There's way too much time sitting here in the ball. Like, what are we waiting for to open up? Or either run up and try and scramble, or throw this ball in the dirt. I mean, look at the amount of time here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. I mean, the internal clock's just got to be quicker. That play is dead. Here versus Washington. This Seattle concept. Right. They got 3 for 2 over here, or 3 for 3. I mean, you're reading this switch release. This corner takes on the number 3, And now we've got to be reading this linebacker. And if this linebacker sits with this little, action, pull it, right? And even if you were stuck on this, right, he wins leverage, like, fire a ball in there. Why are we not pulling the trigger on this? And we ended up taking a sack. And again, that's just an issue with Russ's game that happens, right? You look at the numbers and stuff, and you talk about like the QB owned sacks, and it's one thing to just look at numbers, but the film shows it, right? Why aren't we pulling the trigger on this, right? This player carried the number 3. The number 2 is here. Why aren't we pulling the trigger on this? And again, it's something that shows up over and over again on Russ's film, and it has for a long time. And it's not just sacks too. It's throwaways with Russ, right? And there's some quick game that he can run, right? They run a lot of speed outs, and there's things, but a lot of the basics of quick game, man, there's struggles. Here, running stick, like this safety's rolling down, right? They're in man coverage. It should be a clear read. When you see Wiggins carry this, and this linebacker who drops in isn't there, I don't care. This safety is not making that play. Pull the trigger, right? This is a 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2. It's there. It's there. It's there. It's there. And instead, we don't. And hey, you can even get to the backside and throw this, but we run and throw this ball away. Now you got 4th and 2, and you got a punt, right? And that stuff happens fairly often. Here, play action. They're going. They're looking for the big play, right? You're looking for the big play. You're hoping that this safety bites, but he doesn't, right? He carries this. But what you do see is, you see this linebacker, he's carrying middle field. And I just don't know why Russ, at this point, obviously it's easy for me to do this with a clicker and stuff. This is here. Pull this trigger. Put it on the outside of the hashes. Let your guy make a play instead of we're throwing it away. And you'll see it from the other angle, because that angle kind of looks like Roquan could make a play on it. But it's, the deep pass isn't there. Throw this ball right here. Inaccurate, whatever. What are we bailing from this for, right? We've got protection. Hang in there. Pull the trigger on this. And instead, we're throwing it away. Here versus Washington, they're trying to run this Y leak play. I don't know if they did that trip thing on purpose. But they're running this Y leak. In reality, you're hoping Darnell Washington here gets wide open on this block and release. And they don't pay attention to it. But they do, right? But part of that Y leak is looking at this player, right? Even if you don't not design, because you want to get the attention over there, is looking at this player, and like you don't stare down the leak part of it, right? You wait, right? You wait. I mean, look at. Again, I understand sometimes it's like, oh, it's not the progression. I mean, look at. I mean, that's open for 10 years. You see it from the other angle. Obviously, there's this stumble here. But so obsessed with getting to the leak part of this, we're just, get your eyes on this. And it's there. That's a nice chunk play. Instead, ends up, being an incomplete pass. Here, you're going to throw the ball away. You got man coverage on this quick game. So you got the single safety. You want to read these two players. This linebacker works right. This one bails in man coverage. Immediately, you should see that and snap your head left. Right, I understand what they're trying to get to on this, but he's taking that window away. Snap your head left before all this happens and pull the trigger on this. And if you're not pulling the trigger on this, pull the trigger on this. And again, he's looking at it now, right? We're a little late getting to it, but we are looking at it. And, a 2nd and 20 ends up being a throwaway. And then other stuff that's not like the quick game stuff. I just wanted to throw these plays in there because these were the games of film I watched, and it'd feel disingenuous not to put them on there. 2 bad, 1 good. Here's the interception on that December 25th game where he forces it up here, and George Pickens gets a lot of blame, and he deserves it, absolutely. Like, this is bullshit by George Pickens, right? They have this safety over here. Occupy him. Occupy him. Right? They're trying to get to the seam, but at the same time, Russ has to check on this. Right? They're in a cover 6 look. 1, 2, 3. You got to check on this. And Russ just never even looks at it. Just trust that Pickens is going to occupy that player. And hey, I get it. If Pickens does his job, this is a touchdown, and we never think twice about it. But you still got to check. And it ends up being picked off. And then this one is not, I don't think, indicative of anything. It's just play action, banana play. And he gets hit and just throws it behind the flare out there. And it ends up being an interception. We'll finish off with a positive play because it's a play that the Giants and Brian Daboll really love. It's this shock with the wrap concept on the backside of it, right? Or, wide juke hoss follow, as the Patriots call it. Right, so they're in cover 3. They're rolling into it. And then they're matching here, so the slot fade's not there. Now, you could throw the choice here, or the juke to the tight end. But you get it versus cover 3. Let's check the backside of it. And if this linebacker is going to go with the juke, well, guess what? You got a window right here. Get to the backside of it. Bam, pull the trigger on it. Beautiful. Right? Again, that's a play that Brian Daboll loves to run out of empty. Right? Because this is a bread and butter concept. You tag the stuff on the backside of it, and you get some chunk plays. Right? Malik Neighbors, he will eat off of those types of plays, or whoever you put on there. Darius Slayton made plays like that last year. So, hope you guys enjoyed the whole Russell Wilson video. Again, subscribe to this channel. I think you guys are going to really appreciate this channel and everything that it brings. Maybe more than what it is right now. Maybe more. Maybe not. We don't know. Maybe we do. I don't know. Appreciate you guys very much. We will see you on the next one. Until then, let's go Big Blue.